Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivaradhari Jayo Girivaradhari 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 Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Dana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Dana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Vihari Jayo Kunja Vihari Kunja Vihari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Grandhara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet Srinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hrudantastohi Abhadrani Vidunnoti Sahusatam Nastaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama-sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service on to the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. So today's verse for discussion, it is Canto 7, The Signs of God, Chapter 8, Lord Narasimhadev slays the king of the demons, Text 2. We take the meaning, word to word meaning first. Ata, thereupon, Acharya Sutaha, the son of Sukracharya, Tesham, of them, the sons of the demons, Buddhim, the intelligence, Ekanta Samstitam, fixed in one subject matter, devotional service, Alaksya, realizing or seeing practically, Bitaha, being afraid, Tvaritaha, as soon as possible, Rajni, onto the king, Hiranyakashipu, Avedayat, submitted, Yatha, fittingly, Atacharya Sutastesham, Buddhim ekanta samstitam, Alaksya betas-tvarito, Rajna avedayat yatam, Atacharya Sutastesham, Buddhim ekanta samstitam, Alaksya betas-tvarito, Rajna avedayat yatam. Atacharya Sutastesham, Buddhim ekanta samstitam, Alaksya betas-tvarito, Rajna avedayat yatam. Atacharya Sutastesham, Buddhim ekanta samstitam, Alaksya betas-tvarito, Rajna avedayadyatam. Atacharya sutastesham. Buddhim ekanta samsitam. Alaksya pitastvaritom. Rajna avedayatvatam. Atacharya sutastesham. Dim ekanta samsitam. Alaksya pitastvaritom. Naya vedayatvatam. Atacharya sutastesham. Buddhim ekanta samsitam. Alaksya pitastvaritom. Rajnaya vedyatam. Translation by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When Sanda and Amarka, the sons of Śrīmad observed that all the students, the sons of the demons, were becoming advanced in Krishna consciousness because of the association of Prahlad Maharaj, they were afraid. They approached the king of the demons and described the situation as it was. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The words Buddhim Ekanta Samsthitam indicate that has an effect of Prahlad Maharaj's preaching. The students who listened to him became fixed in the conclusion that Krishna consciousness is the only object of human life. The fact is that anyone who associates with a pure devotee and follows his instructions becomes fixed in Krishna consciousness and is not disturbed by materialistic consciousness. So the fact is that anyone who associates with a pure devotee and follows his instructions becomes fixed in Krishna consciousness and is not disturbed by materialistic consciousness. The teachers particularly observed this in their students, and therefore they were afraid because the whole community of students was gradually becoming Krishna conscious. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Paksamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has the form of Satchitananda Vigraha. I offer my respectful obeisance unto Him who turned the dumb into eloquent speakers and enabled the lame to cross mountains. Such is the mercy of the Lord. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarimda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So when Sanda and Amarka translation, the sons of Śrīmad observed that all the students, the sons of demons, were becoming advanced in Krishna consciousness because of the association of Prahlad Maharaj, they were afraid. They approached the king of the demons and described the situation as it was. So Prabhupada's emphasis is on the words Buddhim Ekanta Samsthitam, indicate that as an effect of Prahlad Maharaj's preaching, the students who listened to him became fixed in the conclusion that Krishna consciousness is the only subject of human life. So that ekanta samsthitam, its meaning that the intelligence becomes fixed on bhakti yoga. Having received the association of Prahlad Maharaj, the sons of the demons who were his classmates, they're all young boys, but yet we can see the intelligence of the boys and the purity of Prahlad Maharaj. By his preaching, they have come to the conclusion that the only objective of human life is to fix on Krishna consciousness or on Bhakti Yoga. So we find that if we trace back that Prahlad Maharaj and his classmates were attending the school conducted by the children of Shukracharya, Sandha and Amarka. And like any school, they were only teaching the aspects related to the body, that is dharma, artha, kama. That's what they've been teaching. And it's in no way different to what we are learning in the school or in the college. So millions of years back, that's what they were taught, and millions years later today also we are taught the same. And the theme continues to be that people consider only the bodily related aspects of learning as the highest education and are not giving an opportunity for individuals to have this aspect of knowledge as well, and then say, okay, you choose what you want to. That option is not being given. We say that, okay, this is what it is, and you should go through the rigors of the school in the way in which whatever the so-called modern science teaches us, we learn. And the outcome of all that learning is that people become totally bodily conscious. They have no idea that something exists beyond body, that we are not this body, but we are something beyond this body. That aspect is not taught anywhere, neither at home, nor in the school, nor in the colleges, nor in the universities. So therefore, how does one get that knowledge? How does one get that understanding? And the same situation is being felt by in the school where Shukracharya's children were teaching. They were totally teaching about the materialistic aspect of life, whereas the children, so therefore they thought that's the best education. But in between, whenever they got short intervals, like in any schools or colleges, we get short intervals of time, break time, lunch time. And that small time slot was utilized by Prahlad Maharaj to share Krishna consciousness. And that is the beauty or the compassion of a pure devotee. Whenever a devotee gets an opportunity, the devotee sees, well, this is an opportunity for me to share Krishna Katha, and therefore elevate the consciousness of the individuals. And this is the glory of devotees, and this is the glory of ISKCON movement started by Srila Prabhupada. Preaching is the essence as been started by Srila Prabhupada, and now we find various schools of thought also have taken to preaching. Otherwise, we are drowning in the samsara chakra of the birth, death, old age and disease. And Prabhupada, in his purport to a verse, I think 10.1, because that's where we are trying to write the assignment, he calls it as Bhava Roga. Bhava is the material life and Roga is the disease. So this is the material disease. The material disease is that people speak and focus only on earning money, dharma, and then through some piety earn money and then spend your life in sensual enjoyment. That is what is being done. And as a process, or as a consequence, we are getting trapped. Because the more we try to exploit material nature, the more we become trapped. We think that, well, we are enjoying, but we do not understand in the process we are caught by material nature. And what is the aushadam, bhava aushadam? There Prabhupada says that hearing Krishna Katha from a bona fide spiritual master, hearing Krishna Katha from a bona fide teacher or a Vaishnava, that is the aushadam. So we have the bhava roga and we need a bhava aushadam. Nothing which is taught in the school, college or the universities gives that option or gives the treatment from this roga, from this disease. And these people are not aware of it. It's only persons who come in contact, fortunately, with a Vaishnava comes to know of that. And we find so therefore Prabhupada continues there that Krishna Katha is in that purport. Prabhupada says that Krishna Katha is very simple actually. What is that? Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna declares himself. And then he says, Matta paratram na anyat. Everything comes from me. O Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Simply by understanding this fact that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can become a liberated person. Just by that understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and then we are the servants or we are part and parcel of Krishna. Just by understanding that, Prabhupada says that one becomes liberated. So we find that here Prabhupada is saying that the association of a pure devotee and following his instruction becomes fixed in Krishna consciousness and is not disturbed by materialistic consciousnecess. And this is a theme we find throughout Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and is also a theme by Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Devotion. So if you look at the verse in looking through, it talks about Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.14. Where Tatra Adhikari Yaha Kenapi Adibhagyena Jata Sraddhayo Sya Sevane Nati Sakto Na Vairagya Bhag Asyam Adhikari Asau. Translation: the qualified person is described as follows. The person who has developed faith in serving the Lord by impressions arising from previous association with devotees. So somebody's impressions, the previous impressions, they arise because of the association with devotees, who is not too attached to material objects and who is not too detached, is qualified to take to devotional service or to Vaidhi Bhakti. So someone who is not too much attached, not too much detached from matter, and who comes in contact with a devotee, then his previous impressions, they arise, and therefore that person takes to Krishna consciousness. So here it says, Atibhagyena, that is by extreme good fortune, the impressions, they arise because of the association with the devotees. So therefore, that faith in taking to Krishna consciousness is not of any material activity, Rupa Goswami quotes, but bhakti in the form of association of devotees. So that the bhakti in the form of association of devotees that makes a person take to Krishna consciousness. But then how does this happen? Is it that the person gets association because the person has done something in his previous life? Therefore, yathaikasa dase yadruchaya mat katadhau jata sraddho stuyah puman na nirvinno nati shakto bhakti yogosya siddhidha. This is a verse quoted from the 11th canto, 20th chapter, text 8. If somehow or other, by good fortune, one develops faith in hearing and chanting my glories, such a person. So somehow, yadrichaya, somehow, by good fortune, one develops faith in hearing and chanting my glories, such a person being neither very disgusted with nor attached to material life, should achieve perfection through the path of loving devotion to me. So, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, quoting, commenting on this verse, he said that Yadrichaya, how does it happen? Then he quotes the text, Canto 1, chapter 19, text 25. I'll just read the translation. At that moment there appeared by his own will, Yadrichaya, the powerful son of Vyasadeva, who travelled over the earth disinterested and satisfied with himself. He did not manifest any symptoms of belonging to any social order or states of life. He was surrounded by women and children, and he dressed as if others had neglected him. So therefore, that Yadrichaya, it says that it is not that we have done something, it is the compassion, it is the mercy of the devotee who appears there. And this is what we find Srila Prabhupada has instituted the Sankirtan movement, where devotees, I think in Melbourne temple, twice in a week on a Wednesday and a Friday, or Tuesday and Friday, they go out and then do the Sankirtan Yajna and distribute books. Of course, books distribution is happening other days as well, but at the time when, with the Kirtan, they try to reach out to people. And in the process, they are creating Ajnata Sukriti, an unknown Sukriti to the individuals. So some people may not even notice that somebody is doing some kirtan, they just pass away, but there are others who may stand and then hear for a moment and then go away. And there are others who do some helana or some heckling at the devotees. But the fact that the person has done the heckling itself is an indication that the person is interested in Krishna consciousness indirectly, and therefore the journey of that person starts in Krishna consciousness. And this is how the association is being given to the persons who otherwise are unfortunate, become fortunate because of the compassion of the devotees. And that association is spoken in many verses in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So when I was trying to go through, we find that the 11th canto, 12th chapter, 11th canto, 12th chapter, the first few verses. I'll just only refer to some translations to bring into the context. So the 11.2, 11.1 to 2, it's a big, I think all the verses, 11, 12.1, 2, 3, 6, 7, they're all big verses. I'll just read the translation. The Supreme Person, because 11th canto is the Uddhava Gita, or where Krishna is speaking to Uddhava. So therefore, personality, Lord says, my dear Uddhava, by associating with my pure devotees, one can destroy one's attachment for all objects of material gratification. So my dear Uddhava, by associating with my pure devotees, one can destroy one's attachment for all objects of material sense gratification. Such purifying association brings me under the control of my devotee. So it is the association with a pure devotee, one can destroy one's attachment for all objects of material sense gratification. And with that purification, Lord says that I become under the control of such devotee. And no other process, whether it's Ashtanga Yoga or the philosophical analysis of material nature or the practice of non-violence or other ordinary principles of piety, chant the Vedas, perform penances, etc., or worship the demigods, visit holy places, or other disciplinary injunctions, by performing such activities, one does not bring me under his control. So therefore, outrightly, all other processes have been rejected. It's only receiving Krishna Katha from the mouth of a pure devotee that the person becomes qualified or the purification takes place. And this purification is not confined to any one particular living entity. That's what the next 3 verses talks about. In every yuga, many living entities entangled in the modes of passion and ignorance gain the association of my devotees. Thus, such living entities as the Daityas, Rakshasas, birds, beasts, Gandharvas, Apsaras, Nagas, Siddhas, Charanas, Guhyakas, and Vidyadharas, as well as such lower class human beings as the Vaishyas, Sudra, women and others were able to achieve my supreme abode. Vritrasura, Prahlad Maharaj and others like them also achieved my abode by association with my devotees, as did personalities such as Vrishaparva, Bali Maharaj, Banasura, Maya, Vibhishana, Sugriva, Hanuman, Jambavan, Gajendra, Jatayu, Tuladhara, Dharmavyada, Kubja, the Gopis of Vrindavan, and the wives of the Brahmanas who were performing sacrifice. So we can see that a range of living entities, whether they are human beings or non-human beings, birds, animals, all of them have achieved the perfection by simply associating, by the association of my devotees. And in the next verse, Krishna continues, the persons I have mentioned so far did not undergo serious studies of the Vedic literature, nor did they worship great saintly persons, nor did they execute severe vows or austerities. Simply by association with me and my devotees, they achieved me. So whatever is being said in this verse, Krishna is repeating in the 11th canto in the first few verses. And continue, the inhabitants of Vrindavan, including gopis, cows, unmoving creatures such as the Arjuna trees, animals, living entities with stunted consciousness such as bushes and thickets and snakes such as Kaliya, all achieved the perfection of life by unalloyed love for me and thus very easily achieved me. So it means that it doesn't matter what external form that jiva has, but so long the person or the jiva hears Krishna Katha from the mouth of a devotee, pure devotee, then the person becomes perfect or reaches the perfection of life. And that is the Krishna consciousness. Such powerful statements are being made by Krishna throughout Bhagavatam, and yet we do not understand the significance of that. Yet we are not able to take to Krishna consciousness. Why? Because this understanding is not there. For receiving this understanding, the person who is reciting Krishna Katha should have Krishna in his heart, should have bhakti in his heart. The person should be pure in consciousness, whereas anya bhilashita sunyam jnana karmadi anavratam. Whatever the devotee does for the pleasure of Krishna. If it pleases Krishna, the devotee does that activity. If it doesn't please Krishna, the devotee refrains from doing that activity. So therefore, the devotee has that inclination, that consciousness to share Krishna Katha or to give Krishna to everyone. And because he understands or she understands this is the process of the aushadam, or this is the medicine. And in all this, the association is playing a significant role. And if we look to the history, we find that the association has made individuals go down the path or they become elevated. A year back, I had a student in the office, because I teach in the university, and in one of the courses I was taking the class, every literally 30 minutes, it's a 2-hour class, every half an hour the boy would go out. Sorry, I should not be saying boy or the girl. These days the university says that you should not use the gender-related language. You cannot use he or she. They say that you use the student because it has to be neutral. Otherwise, someone can complain against the teacher that the person is gender biased. Is that the case in university also? Yeah. So we received an instruction from higher authority saying that we can't use the gender. So the student used to go out every half an hour, and every week he would, the student would do that. So in one of the classes I asked the student, why is that you are going and where are you going every 30 minutes? Are you okay? And the student said that it's because of the association. I said, what happened? He said that he was in love with a girl, and the result was the girl was smoking, and therefore she introduced him to smoking. And with that association, the boy became so much addicted that every 30 minutes he has to smoke. And he can't smoke in the class, obviously, so therefore the student has to go out. And he says, my situation is that she gave me the smoking and she left me. So I've lost the girl and now I've become addicted to smoking. So that's the power of association. With whom are we associating? And in our literature we find examples from Ramayana. I think this is what one of the lectures given by Chaitanya Charan Das, once he said that he picks up 3 examples. One example is that of Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi was a wonderful queen of King Dasharath. Actually, she loved Rama more than his own mother. But yet, under the influence of Mandara, she became corrupted. And with that consciousness, she invoked her boon received from her husband to send or banish Lord Rama from the kingdom. So here we see that Prahlad Maharaj's association has lifted the demonic children to Krishna consciousness, and here Kaikeyi, who was Krishna conscious, she loved Lord Rama much more than his own mother, but became corrupted with Mandara, so much so that she did not hesitate to send Lord Rama out of the kingdom to crown her own son Bharat. Then the same Ramayana we find Ravana. Ravana was a demonic king, as we all know, and in the association of demonic warriors, what is that he has done? he said, we can win over the opponent. And although he had received the association of a saintly person, a devotee like Vibhishan, he did not take that association. And the consequence was that he was destroyed. He lost his life, he destroyed his whole family. And on the contrary, we find Sugriva, although was a weak person, but he had that faith, he had the association of Lord Hanuman, and he became a great devotee. So through these examples we find the impact or the influence of association. The association makes us who we are, what we are. And therefore, using our intelligence or using our wisdom received from Guru, Shastra, we should take the association of devotees and cultivate Krishna consciousness. And that's the path to the perfection. And that's what we find in this verse being spoken. The fact that anyone who associates with a pure devotee and follows his instructions becomes fixed in Krishna consciousness and is not disturbed by materialistic consciousness. Because Bhakti Devi requires a medium, and that medium is that of a devotee. It's only a devotee who can give bhakti to others, because bhakti is in his heart. So teachers particularly observed this in their students, and therefore they were afraid because the whole community of students was gradually becoming Krishna conscious. So when a person's come in contact with devotees, a pure devotee, then obviously the consciousness of that receivers undergo a change. And this is what we can say is a journey of all of us. We all have come to Melbourne or Australia in search of material opulences, material comforts. Maybe we have seen the MCG stadium because lovers of cricket watching said, oh, it's all greenery, and therefore with that we left the place of our birth. We have migrated to Australia with the hope of becoming maybe millionaires, I don't know, lot of money, but Krishna had a different plan. Somehow we became fortunate, yadruchaya, devotees came in our life, and there's a turning point, the life has changed. Like here, the children are becoming Krishna conscious, and they have taken to Krishna consciousness seriously, and they feel that Prabhupada is doing ekanta samsthitam, that one-pointedness, that fixed in bhakti, fixed in Krishna consciousness. And that's what we find the devotees. At least we have about 1,000 congregation members who are chanting more 16 rounds every day and practicing Krishna consciousness seriously. And if you ask any one of them what is their focus in life, every one of them would repeat the same thing. Ekanta samsthitam, that fixed in Krishna consciousness. They do the job or we do the job, but that's not our focus. Therefore, that's only to take care of our requirements, to meet or maybe to pay the bills. But otherwise, the consciousness is always at the lotus feet of Radha Vallabha, Jagannath Baladev Subhadramaya, Gaur Nitai, Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual masters, Vaishnavas. This is what attracts us, and no wonder devotees go out, conduct bhakti vrukshas, participate in devotional activities, join courses like Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhaktivedanta, Bhakti Sarvabhauma, and trying to fill up their consciousness with Krishna. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. And this is what we find. Krishna also makes a statement in Bhagavad Gita, which is that Vyavasayatmika buddhir eke kurunandana bahushaka hi anantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam. Those who are on the path are resolute in purpose and their aim is only one. O beloved child of the Kuru, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many. So therefore, a strong faith that by Krishna consciousness one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called the Vyavasatmika intelligence, and one-pointed intelligence. So it said that why that Bhakti Devi requires a medium, or Bhakti is transmitted from one's heart to the other. We have a beautiful story narrated by Gaura Govind Swami Maharaj in one of his lectures. It's available on the net. I'll try to give the summary of that lecture, if I can recall back. It said that Narada Mahamuni was in the Badrika ashram at that time, and he was in a state of unhappiness. And at the time when the four Kumaras, they arrive at the Badrika ashram. And four Kumaras looking at Narada Mahamuni asked him, why is that you are so unhappy? Then Narada Mahamuni says that this is the Kali Yuga. I've been all over the universe. I go at every place and I find that people are very unhappy. Persons are very unhappy. They say that he said that Satyam nasti tapas saucham daya na vidyate udarambarino jiva varaka kutabhasina. That people, Satyam nasti, there is no truthfulness. Tapaha, there is no austerity. Saucham, there is no cleanliness. Daya, there is no compassion. Navidyate, they have no knowledge. And they are only interested in earning money and sense gratification. No Krishna Katha. I remember before, in my native place, every day, the evening, we used to hear Krishna Katha. There used to be a Brahmana, and he would recite Śrīmad Bhāgavatam every day in the evening. Those were the days when there was no TV, no water pipeline, no electricity, no gas, but yet there was Krishna Katha. I'm talking about 35, 40 years back. Because I come from a village called Manthini. It's a small village on the bank of river Godavari, about 175 kilometers from Hyderabad. So, no electricity, no gas, no water supply, no TV, and nothing. So you can imagine the amount of work the ladies have to do, the amount of work men have to do to meet their day-to-day life. But yet they had time for hearing Krishna Katha. Every day evening by 5 o'clock, the person would come and then open Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. People would sit and then hear Krishna Katha from the person. And with that sweet memories, we go home and then hit the bed. Because there was no electricity, there was no question of bulbs or anything, we would hit the bed by 7:30. And get up in the morning 3:30, take a lantern, kerosene lantern, walk 3.5 kilometers to river Godavari, take bath. There was no water supply, so collect the water in the pot and come home. With that water, Godavari water, we used to cook food. Now today, you have electricity, you have water supply, you have gas, but there is no Krishna Katha. So the whole life has become topsy-turvy. What was the focus at that time, now that focus has completely changed. People are after money, people are after other parts of life. And that's what Narada Mahamuni is saying, that there's nothing today except people are interested in earning money. And Gaura Govinda Maharaj says that, Aham bada hai, I am big, I am greater than you. And with that, people start fighting. Not only people start fighting, and he laments that they sell anna. Anna is food, rice. This is not a Vedic culture. In Vedic time, anna is distributed. It is never sold. But today, we have no concept of anna being distributed except when Srila Prabhupada started the movement, that we find that food for life, anna is distributed. But otherwise, people, if they want anna, you have to pay money. If you want water, you have to pay money. For everything, it is paying money. And even Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam people used to sell, because they are professional reciters and they use these holy books to recite Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and through that they make money. This is the status. And then I went everywhere, I find unhappiness. And in my journey, Narada Mahamuni says that I met one young lady. That young lady took birth in Dravida Bhumi, or in the south of India. Very young, very beautiful girl. She took birth in Dravida Bhumi, or in South India. And she was nurtured very nicely at that time. That was at the time when the Alvars, the 12 famous saintly poets were in South India, and during their time, this young girl was nurtured very nicely. She grew, and from there she moved on her journey to Karnataka, up north on the Karnataka, and there also she was nurtured, because there Madhvacharya established the concept of Vaishnavism. So before that, Sripad Ramanujacharya, then Madhvacharya, and during the time then we have the Vallabhacharya and other saintly poets or Vaishnavas. They nurtured, or they spent their life, they gave their life to bhakti, and therefore this beautiful girl was very happy with her children. But as she moved further north to Maharashtra, there she found that she was losing her luster. She was losing her beauty. Why? Because they did have some form of bhakti, but in that is called nirguna bhakti, or implying that they de-emphasize the form of the Lord. Bhakti was there, but it was de-emphasized. The focus was not on the personality of God. And therefore it was not saguna bhakti, that is with the personality. And then she became further weak when she reached Gujarat, I believe. Because in Gujarat people are highly materialistic, highly after money. And she said, and she became extremely weak. But then, when she moved to Vrindavan, she regained her beauty, because in Vrindavan, the bhakti is there, so therefore she started dancing. And who is she? She is Bhakti Devi. The beautiful girl is the Bhakti Devi. So therefore she began to dance, because Dhanya Vrindavanam Tena Bhaktir Nityayati Yatra. Praise to Vrindavan, where bhakti is always dancing. And this period is referred to the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent. And that's the time when the Sankirtan movement started, and Bhakti Devi was in, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with the Goswamis in Vrindavan, the Bhakti Devi was flourishing. And then, idam sthanam parityeja videsham gamyate maya. That videsham is foreign countries. So then the Bhakti Devi moved to the foreign countries, and this refers to the period when Srila Prabhupada took bhakti to the Western world. And it's because of Srila Prabhupada who took bhakti to the Western world, today we are sitting in this assembly to hear Krishna Katha. So we should remain eternally grateful to Srila Prabhupada for bringing out Bhakti Devi in the form of Krishna Katha to us. And we find that although the bhakti can be practiced in all stages of life, if you go through the Vedic literature, we find that Bhakti Devi was practiced by Prahlad Maharaj in the womb, Dhruva Maharaj at a very young boy, and then we find throughout the others also practice Bhakti Devi. And then, but Narada Muni says that although Bhakti Devi was dancing with ecstasy, but she had her two children. And her two children, that is Jnana and Vairagya, they became very old. And to revive them, when I saw them, Bhakti Devi, she said that, "Oh Narada Mahamuni, you are a saintly person, you are Haridasa, can you please do something to my children?" So he said that Narada Mahamuni tries to whisper into their ears the entire Vedic literature, the four Vedas, the Upanishads, everything he does it, but the children were still young, old and then weak, and they could not be revived. They were lamenting on the floor. So therefore I'm unhappy. Then four Kumaras say that you should recite Śrīmad Bhāgavatam to them. And when you recite Śrīmad Bhāgavatam to them, they'll regain back their old glory. And so therefore Narada Mahamuni recites Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and then suddenly Bhakti Devi, personified with her two kids, appears in Badrikashram, and everyone was surprised. "Who are you? From where did you come?" Then she prays to Narada Mahamuni and the four Kumaras for reviving her two children. And so therefore she says that, "Where can I stay?" Then the four Kumaras say that, "You are," quote, "you are Bhakti Devi, you maintain and care for the bhakta, the devotee of the Lord Hare, so that they'll get Krishna Prema. And all bhavaroga, material disease, janma mrityu jaravya, they will be completely destroyed. Always stay patiently in the heart of the Vaishnavas, bhaktas, that is your place." So therefore, it's only a bhakta or a devotee can give bhakti to others, and but not by any other process. Yeah, at this stage we stop the session. Any question or any comment by anyone? Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, I think somewhere when you read, there was a point of, it says not too attached to material opulence. There was a point that who can take up.
Yeah.
So
Rupa Goswami says that.
So why does it say that not too attached to material opulences?
Too detached.
Too detached. Yeah.
There are three types of persons. One who is too much attached to matter. So the person who is too attached to matter, the recommended process is karma yoga. So that in karma yoga, the person is asked to give away. from Sakama to Nishkama Karma Yoga, the person is required to, whatever the fruits are there, is asked to give away, and in the process the person gets elevated gradually. Someone who is too detached, then he takes the jnana process, neti. He is so much disgusted with matter, so they becomes totally detached, and such a person takes the jnana process. But for a devotee, he is neither too attached nor too detached, because he sees everything in relationship to Krishna, Krishna's energy, and therefore he uses in his service. And such a person can take to Krishna consciousness.
Another question.
Yes.
I mean, this is observed, especially from the last chapter, that Prahlad Maharaj was like pointing out principles of Krishna consciousness, and you are too attached to material opulences, this and that, and focus on Krishna. Now later, if we see in his life, like from childhood to he became adult, and then so he also had a family, like he ruled the kingdom. So like in the early age, he was putting these principles, not to be too attached. But at the same time, we see in his life that later on so how can we understand these both aspects, that earlier in the young time he was hampering these points, and now at the same time he became absorbed.
A king.
Yeah, absorbed in the ruling of kingdom as well as the family and etc. So
a devotee takes the responsibility on behalf of the Lord, like Yudhishthira Maharaj. He was a king, and then he did not rule the kingdom for his own pleasure. He took it as a responsibility on behalf of the Supreme Lord, and then to elevate the citizens in Krishna consciousness. So anything a devotee does is only to please the Lord, not for oneself. And if one can do that, one can see the reciprocation in one's own life. If I do any activity and I think that, yeah, I have done it, even in devotional activity, it's because of me that the person has become devotee. The moment I think that, then you have lost, because you can only be an instrument in the hands of the Lord, but when you say the instrument by itself cannot play. Someone has to play. So therefore we take the role of an instrument and pray to Krishna to facilitate other person to receive Krishna Katha. In the process, the person becomes a devotee. But if you think that I'm doing it, then you can see that one day we ourselves fall down from the platform. So whether it is King Chitraketu, or whether it is Prahlad Maharaj, whether it is Yudhishthira Maharaj, anyone, they rule the kingdom on behalf of the Lord. They take it as a service to the Lord and then do it. Unlike the modern presidents, politicians who do for their own sensual pleasure. There's a gulf of difference in consciousness, and that makes the difference. So he was continuing the same.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Understood. I have a comment, if I can.
Yeah, please.
Based on your Sankirtan, I mean, you mentioned about the Sukriti. I mean, this is just a so wonderful example. It's just not necessarily for myself, but this is just happened last week. I was standing in the temple. Maybe I had some service, and I finished the Sayan Seva evening service. And then this person, he just approached me and he said, "Oh, how are you?" And then he had a conversation, and then he said, "Do you remember me?" I was like, "I didn't." So then he said, "I still remember you." I said, "Oh, wow." He said, "When did we meet?" He said, 10 years back.
Wow.
It's like, then I say, "Oh, 10 years back?" "Yes, I still remember your face. I still remember the book you gave. You were in the Harinam, going out on the street, and then you approached me and you gave this book to me. And then I became happy, and then now he's coming to temple." So the point is, that you mentioned the Agnat Sukruti. So, if I see myself 10 years back, I don't think I had that whole picture that, oh, I'm doing something great. But I was just feeling that I just want to be there, as a part of the Harinam. But then, from both perspectives, it gave me some benefit. At the same time, that person also get benefit. And then he started. So, thank you for the time.
Yes, Prabhu, that because the person who wants to be Krishna conscious is inspired by the Lord as Paramatma, and person approaches a devotee who is capable of giving just that right medicine. Because you have brought the context, I'll tell you. 2 weeks back, 2.5 weeks back, a couple came to Nirmala Krishna, that's my wife, to take medicine. They were referred by someone, I do not know, but they were referred by someone and then they came. And the lady was highly in a depressed state, having gone through somewhat uncomfortable time during her in the family, in her own with the parents. And then she entered into married life, and here also she was facing problems with her husband. The problems were one of the problems she narrated to Nirmala Krishna was that if she has some agony, some pain, neither she nor her daughter is allowed to cry. Simple. Is not allowed to cry. Her husband doesn't allow her to cry. He says that you should not cry. You should be confident, and then you should be like a mako. You should tolerate that. And if they cry, he becomes violent. So that's the situation. The family came to Nirmala, and Nirmala was thinking how to help them. Because it's not just the medicine which can help, but it's the Dava Aushadha, that is the Krishna consciousness that should help. So therefore I was asked to interview. Nirmala said, can you talk to them? So I spoke a little bit about, in general, leading to Krishna consciousness. And Nirmala also spoke to them. And she did not give the medicine immediately. She asked them to come a week later. And when they came a week later, she said, you also come with your husband. So then she came with her husband, and then she spoke to her husband in front of the lady. I said, why do you say that you do not want your wife to cry or your daughter to cry? He said that this is how I have grown with my uncle. I used to spend most of my time with my uncle. And my uncle said, you are a boy, you should never cry. If you cry, you are a weakling. And the same concept I'm giving to my family, my wife and my daughter. Then what Nirmala said, do you realize that what depression is causing, psychological impact it's causing on the children, on the daughter and your wife? And then she said that in your own area, there's a Bhakti-Vriksha program. I'm not giving the whole story, what has happened, but a Bhakti-Vriksha is going on. You join there. So that simple conversation, after a week, I think last week, she reported back saying that I'm much better because now my husband says that I can cry. My daughter can cry. And the person who refused to attend Krishna Katha, that Bhakti Vriksha, he said he'll also join with me to come to attend Bhakti Vriksha program. So therefore, what it means is that Krishna knew that this family or this lady requires that medicine, that aushadha, which Nirmala can give, not only in the form of medicine, that the homeopathic medicine, but also the medicine of Krishna Katha, and therefore he made that arrangement, and now they are attending the Bhakti Vriksha program. So therefore her journey has started in Krishna consciousness. Now for that, should Nirmala take the glory? No. It's only that if she feels that it's an instrument, that Krishna has made the arrangement, then she can pray to Krishna that please give me the opportunity to serve your devotees. Then Krishna will refer in future also people who are in a similar situation or who Krishna feels that Nirmala can give both the homeopathic medicine and also the Krishna Katha. Bhava Aushadam, then he'll refer. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Any other question, any comment? I think it's 9:05 now. Grandhara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakalpatarobhascha, Kripa Sindhubhya evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Mataji వస్తున్నారా Saturday?
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalaya Taksham Bhagavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Bhagom Vigamaniya Vishesha Shobham. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Anganiyasa Sakale Priya Priya